Welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a look, as it is the end of 2021, at my top 10 Heroclix of the year. I have done it for the last 3-4 years maybe, so I thought I'd do it again this year. We'll just take a look at some of the stuff. I haven't been to as many events, so maybe the more competitive and powerful stuff won't be on my list. It's going to be stuff I've played friendly games with friends at home, so it might not be as competitive of a list as usual or as you would expect. But it's just stuff I've been enjoying using, some of my favourite characters, just stuff I've enjoyed for the year of 2021. So the only rules are the figure or the set it's from must have been released this year. Other than that, anything goes. Anything that's come out this year I can use. Some stuff has been delayed and pushed to this year, so there might be some stuff you might have forgot. But as always, let me know your top 10 Heroclix of the year in the comments below, or just some Heroclix you've enjoyed using, some of your favourites. But let's get into this one with number 10. Kate Pryde. Now, I'm a huge X-Men fan. As you can see... Oh, maybe you can't see. Okay, well, they're both here, but I've got a ton of X-Men statues and figures. Huge fan of X-Men in general. Some of my favourite characters, Wolverine, Nightcrawler, Gambit. Just absolutely love the X-Men. So when this character came out and it sort of worked well with them, it had the keyword, she was a good passenger, you could summon Lockheed. Some really cool abilities to make teams around. She had to be included somewhere in this list because she might be my most played figure of the year. I've not played a ton of games, but in most or any I've played X-Men, she has appeared. Love Kitty Pryde in general. Really cool character. Love Lockheed. So love the character. It was usable. It's quite powerful actually. I'm thinking of building some teams around it. Not much to dislike about this one. Really cool super rare. Really glad I managed to pick it up. So that was my number 10. In at number 9, I've gone for Shadow King. Now, not a very high rare one, but a very cool sculpt, a very cool dial, a very powerful dial if used right. So basically, he's got 3 targets, 8 range. He can put servant tokens on characters, meaning they take damage instead of him. He can also heal when he uses mind control. So you can imagine how all of that builds up to make him almost indestructible. You might have seen in one of our games, he got one shot. I played him at the lower points and they went for him straight away. So I think he's worth playing at higher because if you can get him going, if you can get the attack off first, he's going to be an absolute monster. Almost impossible to kill. He's very like the Mastermind OP kit we used to have. I played that before and it was in a battle royale. Nobody could kill it. It got a little silly in the end. So yeah, I'm sure my friends are looking forward to playing this one as well. Shadow King is one of my favourite characters though, so just having a new version of him, very similar to the old one, doing very similar things like Shadow King does. Just glad to have him, honestly. Coming in at number 8 is Weapon Hex, the first chase on the list. Again, you're going to see a theme here. It's all X-Men related stuff. We have had a ton of X-Men sets this year. We had House of X and then Rise and Fall. Had a heavy theme of X-Men. Then we've got Empire with some more X-Men in. But this is just a really cool combination. Scarlet Witch, one of my favourite characters. X-23 I quite like as well. Very similar to Wolverine, so fan of her as well. Loved her in the Logan movie. This is just a really cool combination of characters. It looks good. It's got a really cool dial. And again, it's one... I've not actually played it. I don't actually own the figure, I think. I'm just looking at my list. It's the only figure on my list I've not actually played. But it's one I desperately want, so I thought it should go on here. If that's the case, if for some reason we're not allowed to accept that, I mean, I made the rules, but let's say if not, it's the House, I think it's House of X Gambit or Rise and Fall. Really cool sculpt, quite a good dial, and it's just good to have another Gambit, honestly. I can't remember the last one, it was quite a while ago now. Coming in at number 7 is another chase, it's from the same set, Rise and Fall. It is Diamond Patch. 2 of my favourite X-Men, Emma Frost and Wolverine, for very different reasons, but combine them into a character, I was bound to love it. On top of that, it's the chase I pulled from when we got our brick. We normally split one. I was lucky enough to get the chase. I've been able to use it only once or twice, but it's a really cool figure. It's got a ton of cool abilities, very like Wolverine and Emma Frost, so just really happy to pick this one up. Again, I think a lot of the figures on this, Kate Pryde, Weapon Hex, Diamond Patch, you could see all of those in a very similar team. I could imagine playing these in an X-Men theme team in a tournament. They are all very good. They do work well together with Kate Pryde carrying stuff around. There are more X-Men to come, so I will get into those. But that's Diamond Patch. Is the only Wolverine I really sort of stuck with this year. There are a few other good ones, some cool sculpts, but this has to be the best. Coming in at number 6, I've gone for Felix Faust. I think this is it's the only DC figure on this list. There's not been a ton of DC sets, but in general, I lean more towards Marvel. So John Constantine, I would say, is my favorite comic book character over everything Marvel. And that's where I see Felix Faust. That's a good pair up, a good villain for him to fight. One of my favorites. I love the mystical side of things in any comic books. I love Doctor Strange, like I've said, Scarlet Witch, all of that stuff. So Felix Faust had to be in here somewhere. He's also super usable. He's really powerful. The ability which says he can roll a dice and maybe deal you damage if you use certain powers or stop you using them. It's just, he's so good. I think the figure looks good, a little translucent on his hand, make him look a little more magical. It's just a really cool figure. It's again one that I want to use. He's got the mystical keyword. There's probably something you can do with him. He's just got a ton of powers. He's got Outwit, Prob, Enhance on top of that really powerful Denial power as well. So it's going to be one you see. And probably when you're playing events because, yeah, he's just so good. He's got the 8 range, which is the important thing. Just a really cool figure. And again, one of my favorite characters from DC. Into our top 5 though, and in at my number 5, I've gone for Watu The Watcher. Now, he's been one of my favorite characters since I've been into Heroclix. I remember I got he's up there somewhere. I got the original Colossal Watu. Still not broken. Most people's I've seen have broken at some point. I've kept really good care of mine because he is one of my favorite characters. So yeah, it was really important for me to get this new version, even with the Ultimate Nullifier is quite cool, but just in general, he's got some cool abilities. He builds up later and gets a little stronger, a little more offensive. He's got Prob on every click, which is, in a dice game, always the best power. He's only 30 points, power cosmic, or cosmic energy, I should say. There's nothing to dislike about him. 19 defense with invulnerable, 12 range. He is an absolute monster for the points. And he's just one of my favorite characters. Like I said, got the original Colossal. My original YouTube channel was called Watu Heroclix Watch. I don't know if anybody remembers that. It was slightly more Heroclix based than this. There was a bit more of a Heroclix following, but I think Heroclix just had a bigger following back in the day. And then obviously he's in What If now. We've got a new Heroclix of him. There's just so much going on for him. Everything's going right. So he had to be on this list here somewhere, especially after What If. I just loved him in that. Thankfully I did get the figure in our brick again. Very lucky to pick that one up. So that was an easy number 5. Coming in at number 4, I've gone for Loki from the latest Empire set. So we have got that here in the UK, which is strange because we're normally like a month behind, but this was right on time. We got it when the US did, maybe a week or two later, but it's a lot better than it usually is, so I can't complain. And this figure, I've recently read the comic book this figure's from. There's a lot of cool Nightmare stuff, and there's a lot of cool Loki as a hero. I won't spoil it, but it's worth checking out if you're a Loki fan. So I was immediately drawn to this character, and then when I saw he could summon clone versions, then any figure that can do that, I'm interested in. The old Loki that did it, I loved. I played a ton of. There's a Joker that can have bomb decoys, which I've got like 15 of those guys, maybe more. So anything like that, I love collecting them and I love building up armies around them. And Loki's one of my favorite characters of all time. I've just read his comic book. I've just seen the MCU series on Disney Plus. There's just so much going for it. He had to be on this list. He could have maybe gone higher. He could have maybe switched with my number 3, but my number 1 and 2 are sort of locked in. Just a really good figure. He's got Prob. He can bring out new characters, which is always good, but you don't score points for him, which is even better. It's just, yeah, I love everything about this character. Really, he could have done with a little more movement, but I think I just want to play this character for fun. I don't necessarily think he's going to be much more than that. Coming in at number 3, like I just explained, I love that mechanic of summoning new stuff. So we've got Multiple Man. Now, he has only just come out, so I haven't got as many of them. I think currently, I've got 7 or 8, which is quite a lot already. I pulled a few in our brick. My brother pulled a few. I've bought a few, and I traded for a few. So I think I might have closer to 10, which is probably more than I need. But basically what happens is when he's hit, he only takes a maximum of 2 damage. And then you can summon another Multiple Man. Very much like the character himself. So this one's very thematic. I do really like the character in general. I love his power set as a character. Again, one of my favorite X-Men. Again, he's going to fit into all the teams I play and probably teams I create for events and stuff. His smaller point dial has plasticity, so you can lock stuff up, and empower, which is very important because they've only got the 2 damage. So a few of these guys powering each other up is probably better than playing the 40-point version, honestly. Maybe take 3 with the plasticity and the empower, so everyone can be hitting for like 5 damage, which would be a little nicer. Maybe fly them around with Cape Pride or the new Venom Magneto, something like that. So yeah, there's a ton you can do with this guy, or he can just be really annoying for your opponent to deal with. He can't take a ton of damage. He summons more versions and gets more powerful as you damage him. He's got steel energy to heal back up. There's not much to hate about this character. Fun piece, but also a very competitive one if played correctly. Coming in at number 2, I've gone for another chase, and the last chase on the list, Croco. Again, you might have guessed he's an X-Men, but he's got a ton of cool powers. So he's got 13 movement, which is amazing. He's got 8 range with 3 targets. He's got incap, invincible 18 defense, and 1 damage support. So he's going to be more of a support piece. He is only 40 points, but basically he can create portals around the map, meaning your X-Men can get around a little easier. So like we were just talking, the multiple men, imagine portals opening up near your team at the start and multiple men just running out, tying your team up, annoying them, but you're not really doing much in killing them because they're really difficult to take down. They're going to take like 3 hits, or if they're 10 points, maybe you get 30 points from it, but they've already set up a more powerful attack. It's just a really cool combination, one that I do want to try out. One that I think is my favorite combination in the game right now. Is based around X-Men, some of my favorite characters. So they had to be on this list. I wasn't sure in the order of these because I think if I play Croco, I probably will play multiple men and other stuff. Yeah, I think it's a good combination and they had to be on the list somewhere. And 2 and 3 feels about right. Coming in at number 1 though, my favorite figure of 2021. I'm going to say I don't think anything comes close. When I saw it, I knew it was going to be whether it had a good dial or a bad dial. And that figure is Blackheart. He's one of my favorite characters in Marvel. We don't get to see him enough in comics, but I've read any appearances I can find of him. I'd love to see more of him. I've seen him in video games like Marvel vs. Capcom. That's where I first found him, I think. And then he's in like Wolverine and some other bits. It's just it's a scary looking character. It's one that has a mystical demon aspect to him. I think he's the son of Mephisto, which makes him even cooler. There's just a ton of stuff to love about him. But then we look at the click and he's got Hellfire Club, which other than X-Men is my favorite team. He's got Mystical. And then looking at his dial, he's an absolute monster. He can summon the Hellfire Club guards, which again, I think I've only got 3 or 4 of those, but again, I'm starting to collect them because I will be using them. At lower points, I think he's slightly more useful. I'd probably play 2 of these at lower points rather than 1 at 150, just because hitting his stop clicks make him become so much more powerful, especially with a few Hellfire Club guards around. He's got Mastermind, but also they get empowered. Just a really powerful character. I think he's one of the most powerful at the minute, honestly, especially for his points. What he does is really strong. So I'd say if you're planning on playing in events, once things start to open up again, this is a figure you want to keep an eye on, and it might be one that I try. I do want to play the X-Men team. If I don't, it will be this guy because he is my favorite Heroclix figure of 2021. If you made it to this point, thank you so much for watching. Let me know your favorite Heroclix figures in the comments below. Let me know any comments on mine, maybe stuff you like or dislike. That is all I've got, and it might be the last video of 2021. I might try and sneak another in, but we will see. Obviously, I'm off until the new year now, so there might be a chance I get a few more done. I am planning a few narrative videos around Heroclix and other miniature games I play, so one of those might appear. We will see, depending on how long it takes to edit and render it and all that good stuff to make it look a little nicer. But that's all I've got for this video, so I will catch you in the next one.